What is up, everybody? I am Ant. I'm joined by my friend and returning co-host. If you missed out on our Halloween episode, shame on you. You can check it out in the archives. We have our returning co-host.
Le Champion, Macho Man, Dan.
I keep plugging it because Tyler and I were trying to find a word to describe the episode, like in one word. So I said surprising, shocking. I said that Carlos was speechless. Um,
I mean, he was. That he was.
it was a fun night. It was a fun episode. The champion Dan is back, and it is just the champion Dan and I tonight, and that's totally cool. We were here covering WWE Friday Night SmackDown from last Friday, October 28th, 2022. They were live in St. Louis, Missouri. And Dan, I gotta be honest with you, we were recording this 2 nights away from Crown Jewel. Are you excited about that pay-per-view?
I mean, they definitely got some good matches. Brock versus Lashley, but not too excited about Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. Not too excited about that one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll get there. We have a whole conversation about that tonight and on Raw, but we open up Friday Night SmackDown with a special tag match. The Brawling Brutes taking on Solo Sikoa and Sami Zayn with the undisputed tag team champions, the Usos. We know that at Crown Jewel, the Brawling Brutes will get a chance to take on the Usos for the tag titles. This is almost like a kind of practice match for the Brawling Brutes heading into Crown Jewel. So before the match starts, Sami Zayn is backstage with Jey Uso and Solo, and Sami tells Jey that he needs to help like he did last week. And Jey's kind of giving him attitude. There's a lot that happens on this episode, so we'll get there. Let's just break down the match. So the Brawling Brutes start with 10 beats of the Bowery to Sami Zayn. Butch nails a running knee off the apron to Sami. Solo attacks from behind and slams Butch on the apron. Rich Holland with a shoulder tackle to Sami Zayn and a huge sidewalk slam to Zayn as well, and that gets a 2 count. Solo takes out Holland with a Samoan drop. That gets a 2. Jimmy Uso distracts Butch, allowing Sami Zayn to nail an exploder suplex to Butch in the corner. And then the ending comes after Jey Uso pulls Sami out from Butch. Jey argues with Sami Zayn, and then Rich Hodgland, I just said his name totally wrong. Rich Holland plows through both men, and Butch rolls up Sami Zayn. So pretty much this match is used to showcase the Brawling Brutes and make them look like good contenders.
Well, also was used more to for the tension between Sami and Jey as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So tell me, what do you think about the match? And then we'll talk about Sami and Jey after we talk about the promo. So go ahead.
The match was definitely good. I mean, the ending could have been a little better, but it definitely made sense on the way they went for it. So I got to give them props on the sense making of it. I just there's one thing I got to complain about the Brawling Brutes. I don't like that they're using a lot of Sheamus's moves. Don't get me wrong, Sheamus is a great competitor, a
Yeah.
veteran now. I'd even go as far to say, but they need to focus on their own moves, getting those over instead of going for what Sheamus has. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. No, I
I
hear you.
think that's what they need to focus on themselves instead of always going for what. Because I remember I think it was Butch who was going for the clover leaf, and I was like, really, we're going for that now? Okay, but I mean, it was a good match. Definitely a good way to start off SmackDown.
I agree. It was definitely a good way to kick off SmackDown. But my question for you, though, is do you think the Brawling Brutes could be credible tag team champions? I mean, do you think they're ones to defeat the Usos?
That's a
That's
bit of
based
a tough.
on tonight.
Okay, based off tonight, not entirely.
Okay.
I feel like with how do I say this? With the way Jay had to get involved to make them look bad didn't really work all too well. And I don't know, I just didn't feel the chemistry between the two, truthfully. But I mean, Could they possibly beat the Usos? I gotta say no on that one.
Well, after the match, Jey Uso and Sami Zayn start to argue inside the ring. Uh, and Jimmy and Jay then get in each other's faces, and it looks like they're about to pop off. But then the head of the table, Roman Reigns, comes out with Paul Heyman, and Roman says, "I need to acknowledge the elephant in the room with you two." He says, "You want to act like kids, then we're gonna deal with it like kids. I want it all on the table and fixed right now." Sammy says it's a communication issue with Jay. "I've always liked you, Jay. Everyone seems fine but you. I'm sorry if I offended you. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. Can we, bury the hatchet?" Sammy extends his hand, and Jay says, "You got 2 seconds to get that out of my face." Uh, Jay goes on to say, "I don't like you. How do you think you're in the bloodline? You'll never be in the bloodline. You don't belong here. You're a fake ass oos. This is my family, not yours." Sammy then says, "Well, the tribal chief said that we are together." And Jay says, "Man, I don't care what the tribal chief says." And then that makes the whole crowd, and even me, go, "Oop, I was waiting for that moment. I knew something was going to happen." Sammy says, "Roman J didn't mean that. He's going through a lot. He hasn't been very oozy lately," which then makes people, laugh, and very funny promo. Roman says, "That's the problem, Jay. You're not feeling oozy." Jay keeps on laughing during the segment as much as he's trying not to. Roman says, "If you don't find it, I'll take his honorary away and change his name to Sammy Uso." And then Paul Heyman says, "Now Roman Reigns has ended this segment. You can see your tribal chief live on Peacock." So everyone loved this segment. I thought this was a really funny segment in the sense of Sami Zayn trying to do whatever he can to remain on top. But tell me your thoughts. What do you think about this promo? Do you think it's funny? What do you think?
I mean, it was definitely a good promo. It definitely continued that little tension between him, and now Roman's got a problem with it. At least he's acknowledging it now.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the comedy part of it. I feel this is a whole serious situation with all. I didn't think it needed that little comedy asset of it. I think if it just went like, "Look, man, if you don't get the crap, if you don't figure this shit out now, we're gonna have some problems," then it would have been fine. But the little oozy part was a little iffy on me. But I definitely did like the promo. It's definitely better than some shit he's used to say like, "I'm gonna smash you."
Yeah. See, I go back and forth because I feel like it would be good if it was in I asked Carlos the background because I don't really know like the whole Uzi thing, and I think Jimmy's, or I think it might have been Jay. Jay's like Instagram handle used to be like Uzi Juice, like something like that. And so I think it's a play on that. And so like that's why they're laughing. I don't know. But
Hmm. Good
I think
question.
it's it's kind of funny, and it seems, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves because we're gonna be covering Raw that will be dropping this weekend, but it seems like based on a segment from Raw, they're doing a lot of more silly things. I'm
Silly,
speaking,
more comedic
yeah,
promos.
like I'm talking about from Raw when they did the whole like almost like 60 minutes thing about the Miz with Johnny Gargano. Like it was funny with the whole
Yeah.
reenactments. Like that was funny. I think the problem with this is that because they've done it so many times, you wonder if they're really breaking character or if it's kind of like, okay, it's cool to break character, so let's just keep pretending like we're breaking character. I don't know. I think that like at this point they do it like every week, so it's like how is it that funny still? But I mean, some people laugh at the same things over and over again. But I'm just excited to see where it's heading. To be honest, though, I really don't understand the issue. We still don't. I get like Jay said that you want to be us, whatever. Um, but it's like there's like something needs to start to crack. A crumble needs to happen because they're just mad at each other to be mad at each other. I feel like nothing's really happened for them to be angry the whole bloodline. Like they're falling apart, but like nothing's really going on for them too.
Nothing's really shown why Jay is mad at Sammy. I know what you're saying, and I agree on it a lot, considering the fact that again, we haven't seen any reason as to why Jay is mad at him.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time. I think it wasn't the first time that Jay specifically had problems with somebody. I remember back when he had problems with Roman and how he was a little iffy on being in the bloodline with Roman, and now he clearly is, and now he's like, well, I don't like this guy coming into it, but he's okay with Sokoa. So it's a little what's the word I'm looking for? It's definitely interesting. That's all I can really say. I don't really know what the word is. I'm a
Jay
huge.
Uso is a hater, I think is what you're trying to say.
I yeah, that sounds about right.
Jey Uso's hating on everybody. I mean, listen, I don't know. I just think I want to start to see the cracks start to crumble. Speaking of things crumbling, we get a Viking Raiders promo, and it's definitely Sarah Rowe talking. I hope when they come back that she comes back. I'll be excited. We need some new tag teams to freshen the division up. I feel like we've seen New Day versus the Usos and the Street Profits versus the Usos, and like the same 10 people in the match. Like, let's move on.
I'm not gonna lie, with how many I know there's only like a handful of tag team matches this Friday, but it was just like, this is feeling like Teddy Long's running the show. Tag team match, player.
Well, yeah, well, let's move right along then, because we do have a tag match now, because it's a great segue. The New Day taking on the Maximum Male Models with Maxine Dupree. Hello, Maxine. And that's why I tuned in. Xavier Woods nails a senton to Mansois. The New Day hit a flying combo crossbody and gets a 2 count. Maxine gets on the apron and Marseille pulls Kofi Kingston to the mat. Kofi nails a boom drop to Mansois and a frog splash to the back of Mansois as well. New Day nail a midnight hour and the New Day get the win. Really no point to this match except for to try to like promote the New Day. But what did you think? You enjoyed it?
I mean, I feel like they could have. They definitely had a good match. That is of no doubt in my mind. But I feel like if they actually had a reason to fight, it would have been a lot better. But I mean, of course, you gotta have those filler matches to just do a match for no reason. But I, since it was one of those matches, I definitely feel like it was a good match to do it. Again, I just wish it had a little more reason as to do it. You know what I'm trying to say?
I just want to see the New Day kind of get new characters at this point. They've been doing this since 2014.
True, but I mean, hey, look, Undertaker had the same gimmick for years, and it still
No, I
worked.
get it, but I think I that's the wrong word. I think I want to see them turn heel again. Like I'm just over.
Oh, you mean like when they first started when they were
Yeah, like I'm
heels?
over. Like I feel like I'm over them being happy-go-lucky. Like your best friend just got injured. Like what's so happy? I mean, what's so good? Like like
I definitely agree that it doesn't feel the same without Big E. That there isn't much to them without Big E. I don't know why I'm saying this, but like it's true. They don't have much going for them. They don't have the powerhouse. And don't get me wrong, Kofi and Xavier are great together in a tag team, but they just need that little extra oomph, which Big E carried, and there ain't that anymore. Um, and I definitely feel Kofi Kingston should go after Roman. I feel like he could be a really good contender for Roman. I mean, better than Logan Paul. You know what I mean?
look, I agree. I agree. But listen, it looks like WWE wants the New Day to be a team and keep carrying on. Sorry, I'm like coughing. They think more about merchandise sales and stuff. But this person doesn't really have any merchandise sales. Sonya Deville, I really think about her when I think of merchandise. She's backstage and she says Liv Morgan isn't going to answer Ronda's challenge tonight. Liv never deserved the title. Liv Morgan attacks Sonya Deville. The two of them brawl and they have to be separated by a bunch of guards. I mean, this is like a random storyline that just got thrown together, Sonya versus Liv. But what do you like about this new Liv just attacking Sonya every chance she gets?
I mean, just it's not even just that. It's also Liv that's like she's trying to be more extreme, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't see that extreme factor with Liv. I mean, don't get me wrong. She could have it. She just the way WWE is having her go about it just doesn't really work for me. I don't know. That's just me though. But I mean, I really wish Liv would focus more on Ronda than her going after Sonya. Because I mean, yeah, they have history, but I really think she should have stuck with the women's title because they didn't really give her a fair chance at it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. The problem is the writers kind of did her dirty in the sense of like once they made her tap out to Ronda, even though she like pinned Ronda at the same time, it made her look like a debatable champion. And you don't want a champion to be someone that you're questioning their like it's like you have to question her win. Like, is she really champion? She tapped out. And
No,
so
no, no. I 100% agree
so
on that.
so I think with Liv, they kind of did her dirty with that. And then they realized shit, we kind of painted her in a corner and now she looks like a weak, indisputable champion. So let's have her drop the title. I think for me, I hear what you're saying that they should, make Liv go after the title because she was just champion and everything. But I think because they did her dirty like that, stay away from her for a bit so that when she does challenge it again, they're not going to look at her as like, oh, she's just going to lose. Because the problem was she already tapped out twice. I mean, not tapped out twice. She tapped out once and then she passed out Extreme Rules. So it's kind of like they should have
No,
never made her tap out.
I see what you're saying. That the way they booked her didn't make her seem like a legit champion, and as true as that is, I really think, and that's not even her fault. The way they booked her, that's not her fault.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
just WWE's fuck
yeah.
up. I'm honestly surprised Triple H wasn't trying to make her look even more stronger because I mean,
If
fuck,
I
Triple
was
H
doing it,
likes everybody.
I would have her like continue this attitude where she's just taking out a bunch of people, and then come like December, end of November, because we're already in November, have her challenge Ronda again. Just have her take like a little break because you don't want people to be like, oh, she's automatically gonna lose. Let her look beatable because honestly, when she tapped out to Ronda, I had no doubt in my mind that she was gonna drop the title to her. Like why would you tap out to someone and pin them in the same night? It makes no sense. It makes you look like you can't really beat her.
You're right.
But let's move on.
Yeah.
We get a quick promo from Braun Strowman against Omos. I don't really care to talk about this because I'm not really a big Omos fan, but I'm just excited to see um, this match end. I mean, I know this is for Saudi Arabia. I get it, but I'm not really looking forward to this one. But Braun Strowman might surprise us and beat up Omos. We'll see. Do you have any thoughts on that, or we can move on?
I mean, I feel it has potential to be a good match, but I don't know. Omos still just reminds me of the Great Khali. Don't get me wrong. From what I'm seeing, Omos has way better wrestling skills than Khali did, but I don't know. He's still just like that guy who's supposed to be the big giant who can't really do much. He just stands there and looks big. That's all he really is supposed to do. I feel like if he tries and work on his wrestling skills a little bit more, then the match would be a little more interesting. But all they're doing here is just a giant versus giant match, kind of like the Big Show versus Kane or Undertaker versus Kane. But again, that one's a little different. This one is again just giant versus giant. I feel if they tried adding more aspect to it, maybe it could be better. But who knows? Who knows?
No, I hear you. There's a lot to play into it. I just think Omos is boring and just
He
doesn't.
doesn't have any life to him.
Not at all, not at all. Um, but we are going to cover this kind of quickly in the sense of we have a SmackDown Open Women's Title Open Challenge match. The champion Ronda Rousey defending against a challenger. We'll talk about the match and then we'll take a break and come back and we'll talk about our thoughts on it. So we have Ronda Rousey coming out. Ronda says, I don't expect you to be grateful that I defend this title every week. Only the great can recognize greatness. And she says, let's get this over with. And Emma comes out, who, was in Impact for a while as Tennille Dashwood. She comes back, makes her return to WWE.
Wait, wasn't she also in AEW?
I think she had like maybe one match and then that was it, but she really wasn't there for like long at all. She was prominent, like she was Impact Women's Tag Champion, so she had a little bit more.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why. I just don't remember her getting fired. So seeing it was just definitely a surprise.
Yeah. Well, so the match starts. Ronda nails a kick and sends Emma into the steps. However, Ronda accidentally runs into the steps herself. Emma applies the tarantula. Ronda is able to choke Emma with her legs. Ronda applies a submission. Emma nails a clothesline. Emma with a German and an Emma sandwich, which gets a 2. Ronda rakes Emma's eyes and hits a Piper's Pit, applies an armbar, and Emma taps out. So I'm getting my little timer here saying that we are less than a minute. So we're going to take a quick break. Ronda Rousey defends the title, making Emma tap out. We come back. We have a lot more to talk about. Stay tuned. All right, y'all. Welcome back. Definitely check us out, the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. You could listen to us streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast. We're also available on YouTube. Just search the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. Got a lot of cool stuff coming your way, along with our new series that will be dropping hopefully next Tuesday, November. What's the date? I think it's November 8th. Isn't that election day? Yeah.
Yes.
November 8th, election day, which we are off. Anyways, we have our 20 best wrestling pay-per-views of all time. To find out what pay-per-view rank number 20 is, you have to check out the podcast. That'll be dropping on Tuesday. Excited for that. A lot of great pay-per-views. I will say there's a hint to it. The pay-per-view definitely styles and profiles, is what I will say.
Whoa.
Yes. So speaking of styling and profiling, Ronda Rousey just had the open challenge on SmackDown. She defeated Emma, the returning Emma, after applying an armbar in a Piper's Pit, after raking Emma's eyes, of course. What do you think of Ronda Rousey beating Emma? Do you think she's a formidable champion?
I mean, she definitely doesn't pull it off like John Cena did. I don't think it was the right idea to have Emma lose on her first match back. I don't know why WWE is doing that. Not the greatest booking style. And to put them immediately in a championship match, okay, that's cool, but you didn't make her look strong. You just made her look weak as shit. Losing against, say, how long was the match? Like not even 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty short.
So it didn't really look good for Emma. It just didn't do anything for either woman, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were feeling that way because she comes back in the sense like if you're gonna have someone have them like return against someone and have them beat them and not lose automatically. Because
sort of like Cody did.
Yeah, and also a lot of people are very much like they're very much like if you lose one time, like when you first come back, like it makes like when Ezekiel lost his first match against Kevin Owens at the pay-per-view, I'm like, you lost your first match, now I don't count on you at all. So I think they should put Emma up against someone else, but I don't know. Ronda's not really doing it for me as champion, but I get, she's money.
Mean, she never really did it for me as champion anytime. Like when she had it back in like, what was it, 2019, 2018, around there. Never did it for me.
Yeah, she
just never. I get it. She seems like the champion type. She seems like she'd really whoop ass and everything because she is a legit fighter. But I don't know. The way that she's just having to destroy everybody, she doesn't pull that look off. She doesn't do it well.
Ronda is an acquired taste.
Definitely.
That's a good word for it. So moving on. Paul Heyman is talking to Jey Uso backstage. pretty much just tells Jay that Roman is fine with him. Everything's cool. Trying to calm Jey Uso down. We then have our next match, Legado del Fantasma with My Girl Zelina Vega taking on Hit Row with B-Fab and their partner, Shinsuke Nakamura. Happy to see him back on Friday Night SmackDown. Before the match can take place, we see Ronda Rousey backstage with Sonya Deville. Not Sonya, sorry, Shayna Baszler. God. And Natalya comes up and tells Ronda that if Natty had accepted the open challenge, that Natalya would have been champion. With that, Shayna Baszler. Why did I rate Sonya? Shayna Baszler chokes out Natalya, and it looks like we're getting this team up of Baszler and Ronda, which I'm excited about because it makes sense. They're friends, and friends are gonna have each other's backs.
It could definitely have potential. I mean, it could definitely have that little pizzazz that Ronda may need, but at the same time, you got to look at it like this. Ronda defeats pretty much everybody. Why does she need somebody like Shayna? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of goes both ways. It's good for her, but at the same time, it's not. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. No, it's. I just think it just adds an element to Ronda's character. Like if you're gonna have her be a heel, it's always good to have someone fight your battles for you, and Shayna is definitely willing to do that by the looks of tonight.
Definitely.
So let's move back to the match. Hit Row and Shinsuke Nakamura are in control of Legado to start. B-Fab nails a knee to Zelina Vega's face. What a nasty, evil woman. Santos Escobar's with knees to Ashanti Adonis in the corner. Joaquin Wilde nails a splash and Top Dollar stops it though. Shinsuke nails an enziguri. Top Dollar with a springboard elbow, which is really insane. And Nakamura nails a Kinshasa to Joaquin Wilde. And Shinsuke and Hit Row get the win. What do you think of this team up of Shinsuke and Hit Row? Did they make a good team?
I was definitely a little confused as to why he was with them, but at the same time, I feel they had some chemistry. Not the greatest, not like someone like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, but I mean, they definitely had some good chemistry there. I'm not saying they should team up every time, but if they do it once in a while, all right, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was. I do agree with you. It was weird that they kind of just like grouped Nakamura into there. It's like, okay, you're gonna be
I
out
mean,
of
it was good to see him though.
Yeah, Nakamura is great too. We haven't seen him for a while actually. I mean, he was on NXT last week, but anytime we get to see Nakamura is good, in my opinion.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, I just another way to kind of showcase Hit Row, I guess. Legado del Fantasma looking good, Zelina Vega, of course, looking good. So yeah, let's move on. We get an interview with LA Knight, and Ricochet interrupts and tells LA Knight that LA thinks he's God's gift to SmackDown. And Knight laughs. He's like, I am God's gift to SmackDown. And he walks off. And it looks like Ricochet will take on LA Knight eventually down the line. What do you think of LA Knight?
I mean, I don't know too much about him. It's not. I have seen like one or two of his matches. He and Ricochet could definitely put on a good match. I'm not gonna say that, but I don't know. It just seems like a random thing to happen. Like it doesn't seem like they're really trying to put too much emphasis on it, but they're like, we'll just throw him in a feud. Not too worried about it. It'll be good.
Yeah, good way to kind of show off LA Knight. Good way to show off Ricochet too. Well, let's show off Scarlett now because she is taking Karrion Kross out to the ring, and Kross is taking on Madcap Moss. Cross Moss, fun rhyme out of time. So Moss nails a flying shoulder tackle and a hard clothesline. However, Karrion Kross is able to get annihilated with a spinebuster and fallaway slam. Scarlett distracts Moss, and then Kross nails a back suplex and a hard fist to the back of Madcap Moss. Karrion Kross gets the win. After Kross locks in the cross jacket And Cross says, Madcap Moss is not a coward or hypocrite like you, Drew McIntyre, at Crown Jewel. When they lock you in the cage with me, history will repeat itself. TikTok. Cross refuses to release the straitjacket on Madcap Moss. What do you think of the promise that Cross lays out for Drew McIntyre for the steel cage match?
I'm really excited for it. I really am kind of liking this little feud they have going on. I mean, I'm still not really completely understanding why they're fighting, but I definitely like it because they had a great match at Extreme Rules. So personally, I'm loving the Karrion Kross character. I'm loving the way they're having him be sadistic and all that with Scarlett. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I think they didn't really explain this well, but it seems as if he said like in a promo that Drew McIntyre was a chosen one. Why him? Like why was so? I think it was like a jealousy thing. Like why was he picked? What is it about him?
I mean, he wasn't around when Drew
Yeah, I
McIntyre
know.
was the chosen one.
Yeah, I get it. I was thinking that too, but I think what he's trying to say is that now that he's back, he's sort of like, he's been champion. He's sort of on that history, like history repeating itself, and he's like, I don't know. I just think he wants to put an end to Drew McIntyre.
I do want to say one thing though: the fact that I remember how he was going to go against Roman Reigns, but then they changed it to him going against McIntyre. I really like that because the way last time we last saw Karrion Kross, he was losing badly. He was
Yeah.
essentially a jobber on the main roster, and the way they had him come out, now they're having a feud with McIntyre and everything. That was the right approach to it. Don't have him go against the champion, have him threaten the champion, but then have him go after someone else who is also a high contender for the title. I really think they did that right, and the way they're having this feud go, while I'm not really understanding why they're feuding in the first place, I definitely am liking it.
Maybe Drew McIntyre made eyes at Scarlett.
Ooh.
By the way, just some behind the scenes things here. The champion, I'm laughing at your picture of Chris Jericho because if you look really quick, it looks like AJ Styles.
Because you got that soccer mom haircut.
And it's talking about me haircut, the fucking gloves, like he said the fucking jacket, like it's fucking like I looked over, I'm like, wait, is that AJ? Anyways, moving on. So Rey Mysterio is backstage and he's attacked by Imperium. They nail him with a chair, and Gunther chops Rey Mysterio, and that's all to promote their match next week for the Intercontinental title. We also find out next week that we get a no disqualification match, Sonya Deville taking on Liv Morgan. But what do you think of Rey's chances after getting attacked by Gunther and Imperium backstage?
I'm going to be honest, I don't really understand why they're even having Rey Mysterio go against Gunther for the Intercontinental title. I mean, they just kind of moved him to SmackDown so they can kind of get rid of the idea that, oh, he doesn't want to deal with his son anymore. It didn't make much sense to me, and it still doesn't. Don't get me wrong. I think it would be cool to see Rey as Intercontinental Champion, but I feel you got to keep Gunther as Intercontinental Champion. Keep that dominance going.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I honestly think like what I think needs to happen, and I've said from the beginning, they need if they want because a lot of good storytelling takes time, right? When Kane debuted at Bad Blood, it took like 6 months for Undertaker and Kane to actually fight at WrestleMania. Because remember, he debuted in October '97. The two didn't fight until March '98. So I think if they want to do good storytelling, it's smarter of them to keep Rey and Dom away from each other. Have Rey get destroyed by Gunther. Have him be out for a little bit. Have him come out while Dominic is on top, and Dominic's about to do something terrible. And then have him come out and finally be able to step up to Dominic. And that way you have a story that's been built up over time. People are going to want to see finally what's going to happen when the two of them lock up. But
that is true. But I feel they didn't need to move him to another brand, have him go after a title. I don't feel they needed to do that specifically to build that up.
I get that, but I think the problem is though,
it wouldn't make sense for Ray to constantly be on Raw and get beat up and berated by his son in Judgment Day and not snap prior to April. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like they've been attacking him since like fucking August. And if they want to make it a big money match, you can't have them have any sort of like touching each other until maybe like a week or so before. Like obviously let the storyline play out, but I just think in my eyes the best storylines is when A, you don't expect it, and B, when they haven't fought, so you're interested to see what's gonna happen. You know,
I feel
that's
like
just
the only way they could really make the storyline of Dominic versus Ray good, at least like for right now, from what I'm seeing, because they moved him to a whole different brand. If I was going to like say fantasy book it or something, was have him do something to like Dominic in like the Royal Rumble or something. So in a sense, I guess maybe it was a good idea to move him to another brand by what you were saying. But I feel like maybe if they kept him on the same brand and just like took him off TV because he got attacked by the Judgment Day and just have him off TV for like a while. That
but
could have also
also
worked.
too, something else I'm just thinking of as you're talking, it could also be good for Dominic too to have him off the brand and off of the show because like then you can forget about it for a minute. You can forget for like a month or two that Dominic has his issues with Ray and that Dominic has his issue now with the OC and he's obsessed with Rhea, whatever. And then, have like I'm all about the waiting game. I'm all about the element of surprise. And I think that if you want to do a father son and Ray is saying, I don't want to fight my son, I don't want to fight my son, you have to keep them apart because eventually they're gonna put hands on each other and then it's gonna kill the vibe because you already know what could happen. When Kane and Taker didn't fight each other, Taker said Taker was getting slapped, he was getting attacked. I will never fight you. And then finally he had enough. And I think that they need to, because they've had it happen so early on, if they do want to make it for Mania, they do need to sort of break it up a bit. Because any father, I get, like, you don't want to fight your kid, but you would have a breaking point before then, you know?
You're right. You're right. But again, I just don't see the point of moving him to a different brand. I feel like you could have just separated them the whole time on like the
Well,
brand.
because the way the storyline was going was that Dominic was going to antagonize him until Ray put hands on him. And I think that if that's what they were going to do, and if they just randomly stopped that, then it would be confusing because then you're like, okay, well, why isn't Dominic going after his dad? Like that's what he's been doing this whole entire time, you know?
Okay.
You get what I'm
That's
saying?
a no, that's a valid point. That's a valid point.
Because like if they just randomly stop fighting with each other, then you're like, okay, well then, and then it's like then they fight at Mania, and it's like, okay, well then why didn't they fight then? Like it's like what you see what I'm saying? Like I don't
No,
know.
you're making a valid point. I'll
This is
agree.
just my fantasy booking because I want to see them fight at Mania. I just think that's sort of like where they're headed. But let's keep talking
True.
about SmackDown and where we're headed. Bray Wyatt comes out and Bray says, "Do you feel that it's just me and you? There's no mask, smoke, and mirrors. This is the real man." And Bray says, "This is the best version of me. I am proud to be here today, and I'm gonna do spectacular things." Bray says, I've been out of control, and sometimes it can send me to a dark place, or times I don't feel anything at all. That's what makes me me. He says, there's a point of me that's not afraid to do horrible things. And then we see Uncle Howdy, and we get the full entire face this time. Last week, we saw this weird, like the beginning of the mask. This time, we see the whole entire face. And some people say that it looks like Bray underneath the mask. Some people say it's someone completely different. But Uncle Howdy appears, and Uncle Howdy says, I'm just the ghost from the man who saved the world. The people, he says this to Bray, the people are why you are the shell of who you once were. You cannot run from your Uncle Howdy. And then a tear runs down Uncle Howdy's face, and we get the Bray Wyatt logo. What is going on?
That is definitely a good question. I don't know. Bray Wyatt's an interesting character because no matter what you're doing, you're always getting that weird character. For instance, when he was, regular Bray Wyatt back in like 2015, 2016, Sister Abigail, the Fiend you had when he was the Firefly Funhouse. Now we're having Uncle Howdy. I think it's how you say his name. I don't know. I don't know why they always keep going with that mystical character. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just interesting that they keep changing every time he changes his gimmick. They're not bringing reference to Sister Abigail. They're not bringing back references to the Fiend. I feel if they did that,
I see what you're saying.
it would be a little more interesting.
Well, technically they did when he returned. Remember, they had all the different characters, and I think
No, you're right.
I do think they're doing this like gimmick of like he has what I think, and you tell me if you think it's either. I think it's either demonic possession or it's like he's just has split personality crazy, and Uncle Howdy is the personality that tells him to do bad things.
That could be interesting, but at the same time, I feel that would just be the Fiend.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't really like that so much. I'm just saying that's what I think it's going to end up being. Because if you keep looking at the QR codes, it keeps showing that he was a mental patient and this is Bray and that, you can't trust what he says. And Uncle Howdy says, you can't run from Uncle Howdy. You can't let me go. Da, da, da. When I say demonic possession, it's because when someone possesses you, they don't want to let you go. So I don't know. It's a weird, his uncle is Barry Windham, who has a mustache that does kind of look like Uncle Howdy's. People are saying that Uncle Howdy had like a cross earring, and that was in reference that it could be Bo Dallas because he wears that. There's a lot of different things that people are saying.
I heard a lot of Bo Dallas things.
I think it was just Bray under the mask. It looked like Bray. It didn't look like it. It just looked like a. I mean, you could for yourself. It's kind of creepy. I think I was kind of creeped out by it.
I mean, it could be really anything at this point. We have to wait and see where it's gonna go. But I definitely feel, again, I will say this has potential. I know I say this a lot. It has potential, but I have to see where it goes before I can say this is going to be great, this is going to be bad. But one thing I will say about Bray right now is that I love the way they're booking him with he's not having any matches. He's just cutting these weird promos. I'm liking that because that way we don't have to see him getting into any physical action yet. We just can really see what character he's gonna fit into. We can really see all of that. That's why I'm liking this booking aspect of him. They're not doing what they did with Emma, having her lose immediately to a champion.
Well, we did find out that we will see Bray Wyatt again at Crown Jewel. That will be exciting to kind of see what Uncle Howdy is going to do to Saudi Arabia.
Actually, I don't know if you heard about this, but apparently a little issues are happening at Saudi Arabia yet again because apparently before they before they went to Saudi Arabia, because they're obviously this week of SmackDown has obviously been taped, so they're going to Saudi Arabia to be there on Saturday. Apparently around that area there's been bombings apparently.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yep. So I hope everyone's going to be okay. I don't know. I'm hoping this can just show WWE not go to Saudi Arabia for these events.
I don't know. And then to have the last woman standing match in Saudi Arabia, I really think that's going to be really appropriate.
Yeah, that's going to go well with them.
But speaking of going well, what was your moment of the night from this episode of SmackDown?
Probably, as much as I said I didn't like the comedy aspect of it, probably the Roman Reigns promo.
Okay, yeah, a lot of people are going to be agreeing with you on that one. A lot of people enjoyed seeing that. I would have to say I like the whole Uncle Howdy thing with Bray Wyatt.
If the Roman Reigns thing didn't happen, that would have been my second choice.
Yeah, I just find him, the whole character, to be kind of creepy and bizarre, and I just am intrigued by it, I guess you can say. So for me, getting to finally see Uncle Howdy and have that weird tear come down his face.
I also just want to say this. It doesn't have anything really to do about SmackDown or anything, but I do want to know what your opinion on this. What is your opinion on Survivor Series going to be War Games this month?
I'm excited about that, man. What do you think? Are you excited about that?
I think I watched War Games once, and it wasn't even like it was live, but like only for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'm really intrigued on how they put it together. Like, is it going to be the main Survivor Series tag team match? Or are they going to do NXT versus Raw and SmackDown? Or are they just going to do Raw versus SmackDown? Honestly, I hope they do NXT versus SmackDown versus Raw. That's what
I
I'm
think they're
hoping.
going to do, from what I heard by Triple H, I think they're going to do like storylines. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a, like Survivor Series as Raw versus SmackDown versus. I think it's going to be like the workings matches are going to be storylines. That's why I think Damage Control is having this whole thing. The Bloodlines having this whole thing because I think they're going to have groups taking on groups.
If they do that, it's got to be a better storyline from like the last time they did something like this. Because the last time they did something was with this was like, what was it, Team Authority versus Team John Cena?
Yeah, something like that.
It wasn't even good. If they're gonna do it, they have to do it right. I don't know
Yeah.
how they're gonna do it, but again, they
Well,
have
they'll
to
have
do it
to
right.
build up. They'll have to make a team that's strong enough to take on the Bloodline, and a team that's strong enough to take on Damage Control. And it was weird
We'll have
seeing
to
them
wait and
talk
see.
to Nikki Cross. So
Oh my
maybe.
god, I also want to say this about Nikki Cross. I don't like that she came back. Don't get me wrong, I like Nikki Cross, but the fact that you're having her go from this superhero gimmick to back to her crazy gimmick and immediately having her lose is not the way to do this. It's just not.
Well,
I
so
know we're kind of bouncing all over the place. I'm sorry. I just really wanted to get that off my chest as
no,
well.
listen, he's letting the fans know about Nikki Cross. That's cool, man. Listen, no hate on my end. But on my end, I will say we got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Tomorrow we have our Crown Jewel prediction episode dropping. We have our Monday Night Raw episode dropping. Crown Jewel will be coming out on Saturday, special start time 12 p.m. Eastern time, early time, live on Peacock. If things go as planned, God willing, they will. And yeah, this was a good episode of SmackDown. Dan Le Champion is back. Things are heating up. He'll be with us again, obviously, for all times.
Yep.
And yeah, so thank you for tuning in, everybody. We want you to be safe, and we will see you with our Monday Night Raw recap, our Crown Jewel predictions. Also, be on the lookout on YouTube for my special WWE 2K22 live streams. I've been
Ooh.
yes, sir. I've been live streaming my universe mode. Seth Rollins is the WWE champion. Uh, a lot's happening there, and that's all on YouTube. If you want to check that out, we're on In Your House. We just have Money in the Bank, so there's a lot going on. So, thank you guys for checking, gals for checking us out. Thank you, Dan, and we will see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.